chop zone there on Capitol Hill and move in, saying that anyone who is still there would be arrested. So far, we have seen about 13 arrests was the last report, but that was a while ago. I wouldn't be surprised if that changes. They have really moved this perimeter to be all around the chop zone and now moving over most recently to the north side. We've seen our reporters get pushed back several blocks from that area. Mayor Jenny Durkin issuing that executive order to vacate the area, and Seattle police going through enforcing the mayor's order. As of 5 o'clock this morning, boy, has so much changed just in the last hour and a half after CHOP had been established in the Capitol Hill area for roughly 2 weeks.
And this goes beyond the East Precinct station. This goes through the entire part of Cal Anderson Park. Matt Markovich joining us back on the phone. And Matt, you had mentioned, you had heard this order is a clean sweep of that entire area. And that's exactly what we're seeing this morning as those officers now moving through that tent city in Cal Anderson Park.
Yes, so this is exactly that. We had heard that there were mediators as well as navigation team members out at the tents for the last week and a half. They had set up a resource center for people to try and find housing. So there have been some outreach efforts to people in those tents. We were told about 75% of the people in those tents were demonstrators. Another 25% were actually people who are regularly homeless in the Cal Anderson Park who took advantage of pitching a tent in a park, which is not allowed to do up until this demonstration. The city was treating the tents as part of the demonstration and not a traditional encampment, so that's why they were allowing them to stay. But that's no more today. And what's interesting is that part of the mayor's order today does include the preliminary injunction issued by the federal judge in the Black Lives Matter versus Seattle case, where you could not use any kind of chemical crowd disbursement methods or as well as projectile methods. Now, in some of the videos we've seen about the initial efforts to move the people back, some mace was used and tear gas, and that's allowed to on one person, a one-on-one situation where you can't just mace an entire crowd or send pepper spray an entire crowd. You have to individually mace or pepper spray a specific protester. And that's apparently what happened early on, but we haven't heard anything like that on the perimeters.
Matt, I apologize, Matt. I need to interrupt right now because we want to go to Denise Whitaker, who is live near that tent city area where police are back on the move. So, Denise, what are you seeing right now?
Well, we moved a little bit further north, so we're more toward the north end of Cal Anderson Park. We didn't quite make it all the way to the north end, but now police just, I think, moved out of your view that you can see from our photographer's Jim's lens here. Basically, the officers are moving in large groups through the park, and they're just making sure that tents and things are empty. I'm not sure Jim can see this, but right here on the staircase in front of us that leads from Broadway down to Cal Anderson Park, there was, I'd say there's a good 10 or 15 blankets that were all kind of draped over a railing there, and officers came through and made sure that there was nobody inside those blankets and went in there sleeping, and then once they determined that there was no one there, then they moved along. So it appears as though they're kind of sweeping through the north end of the park right now. The Sheriff's Department was here. We have a lot of different agencies, it looks like, that are helping out here this morning, but again, they've just moved from this area north, so we'll go follow them that way and see what else we can figure out on that end at the north end of Cal Anderson Park.
And so, Denise, real quick, if you can still hear me, we're taking a live look right now at Air Force. So, Holly, what are you seeing right now?
Ryan, I'm just seeing that officers, this is exactly kind of what Denise was talking about, was just hard to see from her shot. Officers have now just moved into this tent area, and they're just pulling down those tarps, those pieces of tarp that have created this tent area. There's also, looks like, a couple barricades of some sort. Maybe that's fencing. It's really hard to see by this live look, but they're pulling all of that down this morning as well. They also did a sweep of the playground from what I can see from this Air 4 look, just making sure there was one tent left in that playground area. They shook it a little bit just to make sure that nobody was inside of that. They just checked it. Looks like they were going to take it down, but now they're really focused on this area right here. Matt mentioned a kitchen in this area. This could be that area. I'm not 100% sure because I'm just not familiar enough with what the setup was like here. But as you can see, they're kind of moving through this area. Yeah, they're really pulling it down. Here's a ground shot to bring you right now, and as you can see, they're pulling down those tarps that created this enclosure, I guess you could say. They're pulling that down, and that is fencing. Okay, from this live look, that's what you can see. That is fencing. They're pulling all that down, moving that away as they really work to break up what became a tent city in the north end of Cal Anderson Park.
And Holly, as we've been watching it, I know you've been monitoring Air 4 for quite some time. As we see those officers move in, it doesn't appear to be any protesters actually living in the tents, at least currently.
No, and you know, Ryan, there was one really interesting shot that as my eyes are glued to the Air Force shot, as officers moved in that line across the ball field, I could see portions of tents in the north end of the park, and I only saw one person get out of one of the tents. That doesn't mean there weren't more in there that had vacated that I just didn't see, but I only really saw one person get out, and they've been going through shaking tents, and I haven't seen anybody left in the tents. And this situation right here looks completely vacant from what we can see from our vantage points, from our different camera shots, the Air Force shots. It really doesn't look like there are many people there. We do know that officers have been yelling dispersal orders. Let's go back. Oh, wait, the ground shot's showing it right now, but take a look. There are a few protesters there right now. You can see the line of police officers as well. A bit of some interaction, maybe a slight confrontation going on right here, but just a real small group. We can count 6 people right there, it looks like. Maybe 7.
Yeah, they gave those dispersal orders at about 5 a.m. this morning, so it wouldn't be too surprising if some people were able to clear out in this now hour and 40 minutes that we have been covering it. We want to get back out to Como's Lee Stoll, who is on Capitol Hill right now, to give us a look at where she is. Lee, what are you seeing, and have you moved since we last checked in?
Yeah, you can see the line that officers are holding here at Pine and Broadway. Every now and then we do see a few dozen of the bike officers. They seem to be just patrolling inside this perimeter, going line to line, reinforcing the officers, making sure they're okay. Anytime there's any kind of flare up with anyone who is approaching the officers, the bike officers then suddenly show up as kind of reinforcement, and then they move on to the next line. But very quiet over here. These officers were originally at 10th and Pine, just about a block back toward the precinct, and then a couple of minutes ago they had been starting to say, move back, go to Broadway. If you stay, you could be arrested. And very slowly they moved forward, and when they reached Nagel, which is a side street that kicks out to the side of Cal Anderson Park, some of the people who
are pushing at about 30. You got Converge 2 up in the air up there.
Doing great, man. Y'all doing great. Cause we gonna regroup. We gonna regroup.
If you look to your left right here,
great.
I wouldn't even be on your phone right now, man.
No, I'm making sure that we're on Facebook. Wait a second. Okay. We're definitely on Twitch.
They're reciting what Mayor Jenny Durkins has said. Man, you got the gun turret up on top with this guy right here to the left. That he's locked and loaded and ready to go ahead and pull. You've got 3 armored vehicles moving through the park right now.
All right, good. We're good. We're good. We're good.
Doing great. No agitated. You're doing great.
Here we are. We're moving our way back through Cal Anderson Park right now as the police line pushes everyone from Tent City and Cal Anderson and the Gardens and the riot kitchen, pushed everyone out. What you're seeing is riot police and the full-on SWAT guys. You got full-on SWAT, 2 SWAT vehicles in the road. You've got another SWAT vehicle on the far right there running up the 12th or 10th. Yeah, stay to your side there.
Thank you. I knew this was gonna happen, but you know,
it happened quick.
I don't think we knew that we'd be on the line with David Lewis. We got Brooks over here.
We knew it was going to happen quick, though. We knew it was going to happen quick. I want to ask real fast. What's the new perimeter? Where are people allowed to be in? Is 4th and north of Denny? Okay. So you heard it, north of Denny, cross Broadway, cross 13th is what they're saying the new perimeter is, and they're pushing back. Is that going to be permanent, or how long? How long is that perimeter in play? Okay, that's part of the emergency order then? Okay. What he just said was at 2 a.m. this morning, watch your back there, Jenny Durkins signed an emergency order stating this place officially shut down, and that anyone that would be left here is going to be considered a trespasser and they'll be detained. Watch your back.
Said we'll have to cross the street.
Yep. So he's saying to the other side of Denny. Is the street on the other side of the street is good though, sir? Okay. So the police have now pushed their way all the way to the edge of Cal Anderson Park, evacuated everybody. Oh, they're telling him. So what you've got now at the perimeter line, you've got armored vehicles down here for SWAT on 10th and Denny, and they run all the way up to 11th and Denny, and I'm guessing that line up on the top is probably moving from 12th as well. Let's get down here real quick. And they said that was by the order of Mayor Jenny Durkin this morning at 2 a.m., stating that this place is a state of emergency. What you did just hear was the police officer thank everybody for dispersing and leaving the park, which is...
It will be illegal to re-enter the park if and when we do depart, per Mayor Durkin's emergency declaration. If you re-enter the park, you may be subject to arrest.
That's okay. That's okay, no hesitation.
They brought in the fire department. What's wild is now you're seeing the fire department finally coming in and ambulances.
Only because the girl's pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Which one?
My cousin, she's pregnant.
Well, they wouldn't come in for gunshot wounds, but they'll come. That's good. They'll come in for your cousin, though. Wow. Good. That's good. So there's a pregnant woman in here that the first response is coming in for, and the fire department.
Don't hesitate. Don't hesitate.
What you're not seeing here, though, the difference is now, if you remember the other night we had that shooting up there, and the ambulance and the fire department left the station and never made their way into the chop. Well, immediately now they've got 2 fire aid trucks, or a fire truck, and they've got 2 first aid vehicles that have made their way in. It seems relatively easily. So,
See the guns that they're holding, though?
what you're seeing in front of us, yeah, you've got the guy up top here has got his. They've got their rubber bullet cannons. They've got their. And those are some intense firearms you're seeing, and then you've got your frontline riot cops with the batons, face shields. Like I said, it's probably gonna be a long day. If you look down the far street here, you've got more SWAT on the far end of the street. You got a helicopter overhead, keeping an aerial view on things. And what they've done is they've just cleaned out all of Cal Anderson Park. I mean, this I don't even know what time is it right now. What time is it?
It's 6:48.
This whole thing is taking place in about a little over an hour 15.
What, again? No, we were on the right side of the street.
Well, they say that at least, what?
Did you know that there's a clause in the ordinance that Jenny signed that says that they are obligated to help people clear out their tents and their property, and that they have to store it for us and keep it safe when they push everybody out?
You didn't see any of that. You saw them rip tents apart.
Yeah, exactly. They were not doing
they put some stickers on there.
Jenny fucking told them to do either.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's clarify. So are we clear that this is the perimeter now, yeah?
We done made history for black people. Do not hesitate.
Who, has anybody out here got?
Don't hesitate. Agitate. That means excite. That means start.
So to be clear, this is the new perimeter then?
The black race have won already.
The gentleman down there said it was this side of Denny, is that correct? On this side? All right. If you look at these police right now, it's funny because this is what they were talking about with defund is all this riot gear for a peaceful disassembly of a campsite.
You saw how many people were there, and then you see how geared up they got.
Hundreds of police to disassemble a campsite. What she just read to us was that there's a clause in an order that was signed stating that the hey, how does that read again? While you're pulling it, yeah, no rush. I mean, we're gonna be here all day probably.
Right here. All right. According to the order that Jenny signed about clearing out this park.
And that was at 2 o'clock this morning.
I believe so.
Okay.
All reasonable efforts will be made by the city departments to assist individuals in accessing necessary services, shelter or transportation, and in packing and or storing any personal property, including tents. The city shall take reasonable steps to separate personal property from material that is not personal property, provided the segregation does not pose a danger to the individual segregating the personal property from other material. So they were supposed to help us move stuff out and keep stuff safe. Did that fucking happen?
No, they took five steps every 30 seconds and ripped tents apart, knocked down barricades.
Them ripping apart the tents.
Yeah. Do you know what they were putting on the tents? The yellow stickers?
I don't.
That was like a follow-up no trespassing posting or something?
The blood race is animal. Acting like demons. Looting, stealing, robbing. We peaceful.
I'll tell you, Rick, man, he gets on that little bullhorn. He likes to ask. He has something to say.
Think about this.
So what they're going to do right now is they're going to go ahead and widen up their line. They're going to get themselves bunkered down right now. You're going to have on the far end down here, same. And these guys will be here for a long time today. It's going to be a long day for them. Usually what you'd see at this point is the bike police would come in, and you'd have them running the front line, the barricades. Let's take a walk down here and take a look at what's going on. We got some of the other leaders of the group down in this organization here. What you just saw, as you're looking at it right now, was a quick and aggressive pushback by the police to take back Cal Anderson and to reclaim the precinct, which happened quick, like we thought it would. There wasn't a lot of resistance. We're good on this side, though, yeah? Oh, okay. But what you saw was a step-by-step, about a 5-foot push, and they took back that precinct in probably 25, 30 minutes. Thank you. 25, 30 minutes. Basically, they took the precinct back in as long as it took for them to walk up the street. And I think I heard about two arrests, maybe. Minimal use of tear gas, minimal use of rubber bullets, but there was really not a lot of pushback. We did see people as we pulled up that were occupying that area.
Back it up.
Yeah, they're pushing back the other side of the street, it looks like. I'll say it's sad, but what you did see was, okay, we were just talking about it, the bike police, what we were just saying. So what you're going to see is the barricade police up here. If we can step out on the road real quick, you can take a look at them. So if you look up here, what you've got is the barricade, like police, basically, the cop police, or the bicycle police that are, yeah.
I love those guys.
Those are typically the frontline folks, and what'll happen, well, what'll happen is these guys will run the barricade for these guys, and those guys will alternate every hour to kind of keep themselves fresh, recharge their body cams, whatever they got going. Because these guys aren't going to stand here all day, you know that much. And they'll have to be here all day because they're going to have to maintain this perimeter as people wake up. As people start coming out, there's going to be more and more crowds, so these guys are in for a really long day. I'll tell you what was interesting is we just got read one of the amendments to Jenny Durkins' bill she signed this morning, stating that the police were obligated to help disassemble the tents, and we're storing all the personal items for the people in the tents, and they were supposed to separate out personal items from things they needed, and they would store them for them, but that didn't happen.
Evidently, that's still their intention, but yeah, fuck it, man. They also said that they weren't going to tear gas us. They tear gassed us. Honestly, we had on good record people saying that. Oh yeah, that's true. Thank you for not tear gassing us today. That is true.
I heard them say thank you for leaving the park. I don't think it was really one of those thank you situations.
I heard the cops say, "Hey, it's glad to have your precinct back."
Wasn't too many you're welcome.
Yeah, no, this is what's sad is I hate the fact that they're just kind of posturing, making this massive act of force and genuine abuse of their power seemingly pacifying it with some of their words.
I think we're
kind
taking
of bullshit.
the high road because there's way more of us than there is them. I don't care if they got sticks if we wanted to. You know what I'm saying?
There's more of us in the city.
We're not going
In the
to.
city, not right now, though.
I agree with you what you're saying, though. There are
Like, if
more
we
of
all
us who
came
are
out, if
against
we all
police
showed
brutality.
out, like, those
Yeah,
sticks
I
would
think the ideology extends to a greater mass, but as far as the actual physical bodies, I mean, you've got several hundred police just in what we're looking at. We've got also, you got the 12th Ave all the way to Pike, 11th, 10th. Then you've got all the bike police that are on the roam. So yeah, you've got a massive amount of police. I mean, if you want to go ahead and push back, we knew it was going to happen. I mean, we knew that eventually they were going to take back the precinct. I mean, last night we were out here reporting. We didn't know it was going to happen so quick. Though the efforts to reclaim the police department in that area, we knew that was going to be a relatively. I mean, they said they were going to meet force with force, but I can tell you flat out, like, this force is a much bigger force than nylon tents and you know, and some angry individuals. So they're doing exactly what they said they were going to do. They did it a lot quicker, and I think a little bit more aggressive than we were expecting, especially when it came to the tent city over here, which is large in part a group of a lot of homeless individuals that are, I mean, now their tents are, you know, smashed up and left behind. So who knows where they're going to go now? But you do see that the perimeter now is all of Cal Anderson, and I'd have to assume that it runs all the way up to 12th. I know that based off what we saw from Omari, that the perimeter does run all the way to Pike, and now where we're on right now is Denny. So basically there's one block in excess of what was the original. One block in excess of what was these fucking speed bumps, man. I'll tell you, you're gonna murder somebody. One block in excess of what was the original CHOP occupied zone. So all the Pike, I mean, that was kind of an unofficial like pushback area. Watch your feet there. For the CHOP was running to Pike, but that was not part of the actual cutoff area for the CHOP.
Cars down there won't be towed, right?
I don't know about that.
Wow.
Do you know by?
You get a chance to get his car out if they're going to be able to tow it. So I can't get my car
Right now.
You haven't got it by now.
So is this by the order sign at 2 a.m.? Was that kind of the new perimeter that's now no trespassing area?
There's media, Reddit, and PIO, Office of Corporate Information Officer, so if you need any information in regards to specifics,
Okay. You know where we can find them?
no, but I'll find out.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much. What he just let me know is they got media officers that are going to go ahead and help get some of the information of what the new established retake area is. Because what we've got is a very established line of no trespassing. So, like I said, Tent City's been pulled apart, and all of the occupants that were up by the precinct, 12th precinct, have been removed. I heard there was a couple of arrests. So hopefully we'll be able to get some information as to what the expected actual timing is for this. If this is going to be ongoing, what we just heard him say was that these streets are going to be closed at least for the next couple days. They have a media officer apparently.
That's kind of scary.
Well, somebody's got to control the narrative coming out and figure out what's going on.
Hey man, I was just thinking, like, not to be devil's advocate, but it's nice to see that Seattle's got such a hefty fucking squad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
15 in Pine.
15 in Pine?
15 in Pine.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. So they do have a media officer available up on 15th in Pine, which is pretty far up north, or pretty far east. Actually, that would be southeast from where we're at right now. We'd have to head, I think it'd be... Doing a sage. I'd be interested to talk to their the media officer, find out what the word is on the actual perimeter that they're going to have here. Did you lose your press? Oh, it's up on your shirt.
I got it.
Okay.
All right, what you doing with the wood? I'm giving the
Oh, that was the beginning of it. So the wood you're carrying was the beginning of a totem, is what you can see there. So you see the art on it, yeah. Okay. Man, this is quick. It'd be good to be able to talk to some of these guys and actually get an idea of, you know. I know they signed the order at 2 a.m., but I mean, were they mobilized and ready to go before that, or was this something that jumped off? You know, they had their gear ready because they knew it was coming up. But
Too many officers of color, do you?
That's a good observation. I mean, looking down the line.
Yeah,
Look
down the line.
I don't see any that come out, stand out from the line.
It's a very white line, Sam.
Yeah. Well, I'd be interested to go up and take a look down 12th. You want to walk up here and see? We'll take a look down 12th. I wonder how these police are going to respond to fireworks, because that was, well, I mean, everyone at the CHOP here has been dealing with these fireworks every night for the last 3 weeks, so I don't know if it's people that are trying to agitate a situation or if they're just trying to test the minerals of the officers, if they're going to break rank. But I mean, it's the same thing that we've been seeing every night as we've been out here covering, is people popping off fireworks, trying to stir things up, and it's ridiculous, and nothing good comes of that. Nothing good at all. And you heard everyone in the CHOP here saying the same thing, like, hey, no fireworks, and they were the first people to shut it down. So what we're gonna do is head our way up to 12th and see if we can't get a hold of the media officer up on, they said 15th and Pine is where they've kind of have their little outpost set up for media. So hopefully we'll be able to get an idea of how long this is planning on sticking around. Because like I said, the people are just waking up. There's going to be larger groups of people that are going to come out. This is going to grow. What you're seeing up here is going to definitely grow. The protesters and the pushback. So we'll find out. Your wife's gonna be pissed at you, Rick. Your wife's gonna be pissed at you, my man.
Oh, she already mad. She was like, where you going?
Supposed to be at home sleeping.
I know it. I was sleeping.
Get your ass to home. Are they gonna be there when you go back this time? We know. Well, here you are. You looking fresh. I know how you normally get down. Don't even worry about that. You got bigger things to worry about right now. So that's Rick. That guy has been a vocal installation for this occupation. We've interviewed him several times. He's a very, very charismatic individual. So now we're gonna head up here to 12th, which has been kind of the eastern perimeter for the CHOP, which, as it works out, 12th has been kind of cut down the middle. So you've got the east side of CHOP has been outside, or the east side of 12th has been outside of the CHOP, and the west side down to 10th has been within the perimeters of the CHOP. The officer we talked to said that on 15th, oh man, their 15th and Pine is way up there. We're not trying to go all the way up there. helicopter presence up there. Yeah, overwatch for the police. I don't think anybody wants to drive down this road right now. Yeah, it's news or police? Yeah. Okay, so what we just heard from our mod team is that, or from the chats even, is that there's been an unconfirmed 15 arrests thus far. But like I said, that is unconfirmed. We're not sure how many have actually been arrested. What we did see in the park, though, was according to the emergency order that was signed by Mayor Jenny Durkin at 2 a.m. this morning to retake the CHOP. Part of that was stating that these officers were supposed to help pack and move the occupants in these tents, and they were supposed to store all their items as well. And that, I mean, from what we saw, Ian, I mean, it was pretty obvious it didn't happen. They say they still have that intention, but whether that's going to happen, who knows? I'm walking down this street pretty quick because I'm going to use that porta potty. So that's happening right now. Oh. Yeah, that's happening.
All right. I didn't realize he had to just go to the bathroom. He gets it. This guy gets it. Thank you. Yep. Guess we need to do that too. I thought we were gonna go ask some questions or something. Nope. Straight to the porta potty. You hear him in the porta potty. CJ, what do you want to tell the people from in there? Nothing? Oh, okay.
Was to vacate the area and issue dispersal orders. This order and our police response comes after weeks of violence in and around the Capitol Hill occupied protest zone, including multiple shootings resulting in many injuries and 2 deaths of 2 teenagers. At this point, we've had at least 13 arrests. I don't have the specifics on all of the arrests. My plan is to update all of you with more information as it becomes available later today. I want to reiterate what I have said. I support peaceful demonstrations. Black Lives Matter. And I too want to help propel this movement forward toward meaningful exchange in our community and meaningful change in our community. But enough is enough. Our job is to protect and to serve the community. Our job is to support peaceful demonstrations. But what has happened here on these streets over the last 2 weeks, few weeks that is lawless and it's brutal. And bottom line, it is simply unacceptable. I will continue to work with our Community Police Commission, our Office of Police Accountability, and our Office of Inspector General, and all of our community partners and city leaders to encourage peace and move forward with how to re-envision public safety in our city. I'll take a few questions. Again, this is early, it's very fluid, but I'll give you what information I can at this time, and we'll give you further updates as the time progresses.
Chief, is this going to be back to normal tomorrow, regular Capitol Hill, or is it still going to be part of the job?
Well, right now, we've cleared out a number of demonstrators. We're going to have other city organizations and city interests come in. We'll clean up the area. We'll clean up our precinct, and we'll start operations as soon as we reasonably can.
In those arrests, Chief, did you confiscate any weapons, any guns?
I don't have that information at this point. I know people were arrested. Obviously, there's still some cleanup. There's still some things that will be happening with the tents. So we'll be able to answer that better later in the day.
Ma'am, Chief, you physically moved in the building?
No, we're not in the building at this point. We've done a search of the building to make sure that there weren't any obstacles or any other concerns in the building. So we have cleaned the building out in that regard, but we're certainly not moving in as yet.
Chief, you brought additional support with you. Can you tell us about all of the people or the agencies that accompanied you this morning?
Yeah, that's a great question. We really want to thank the Bellevue Police Department, Chief Milet, for sending his resources to assist us, as well as our local FBI that was out here as well. Otherwise, the personnel were from the Seattle Police Department.
Chief, what do you do to keep them from coming back to the East Precinct or even going to the West Precinct and surrounding that area?
Well, in terms of the East Precinct, the mayor's order makes it clear that this area is off limits at this time, and so no one should be in the area, and we'll be enforcing that fully. We have no other threats to any other facility at this time, but clearly, we'll be having additional staffing in all of our areas. I'll take one more question.
Was the navigation team out at Cal Anderson Park, was it cleared this morning? Do you know?
Yeah, many of the members of our navigation team participated in this organizational effort.
Can I ask just one more question? You mentioned working with the community. Have you seen their latest list of demands, some of those things? Do you have any comment on any of those?
Well, I think there's going to be continuing dialogue and negotiations as we re-envision how we do public safety. So I look forward to having those discussions along with other city members, and we'll see where it turns out. Thank you so much. We'll be back later. Thanks.
All right.
Okay, so that was Chief Best there giving us her very latest on what was happening this morning. She does not know whether or not they had any weapons, if any weapons were confiscated, and she said that she will have more later today, so we can assume that she would be gathering some additional information and giving us that. But obviously, they brought in extra firepower in order to, get help in clearing the park this morning. So that was a question I didn't get a chance to ask the chief since she ended questions, whether or not they can continue to keep the park clear without additional resources. So that is something that, of course, we'll be watching as we move down the line.
All right, thank you very much, Denise. Once again, you were just listening to Chief Carmen Best from the Seattle Police Department talking about the sweep happening at the CHOP this morning. She said it was their job to vacate the area, issue dispersal orders after weeks of violence, of multiple shootings, including 2 deaths. She says she still supports peaceful demonstrations, but enough is enough, calling the CHOP had become lawless, brutal, and unacceptable.
So going forward, we were asking those questions, what happens next? And the chief saying right there she wants to continue to work with the Community Police Commission and community partners to encourage peace, and moving forward with how to re-envision the relationship with law enforcement and how it happens in the city. In terms of the cleanup, several city agencies are going to be in the area to try and not only clean up the area around the precinct, but get back in the precinct. And she said she wanted to restart operations as soon as possible, though there was no specific timeline on that. As for right now, though, she stressed the area that used to be the CHOP is now off limits. She didn't give a specific time limit on that as well. And then we had Denise asking there, in terms of any assistance.
13th and Pine. Yep. Okay. Thank you very much. Yep. So yeah, they just clarified that the media relations officer is up at the fire station here, around the corner from the East Precinct on 13th and Pine. And I suppose we could talk to whomever that might be for a brief moment. Is it, we're here?
I think so.
I think it's when you're too far behind me. So you might have to walk in front of me.
There's only a few steps behind you, though. We'll see.
Well, it's when it doesn't have a direct line of sight. Yeah, it's, so I'm making sure we're on the right side of the line here.
It's hard to hear because it's picking up that helicopter a lot.
Oh, okay. Is this better? Okay. This guy. Hello. Hey, we were told the media relations officer was up on 12th and Pine at the fire station.
Yes. Okay. Who are you with?
Concrete reporting.
Media? They're already done.
Okay. There's no one like the media liaison officer for the police. Okay. 12th and Pine.
Yeah.
Can we get there from here? How do we go about getting there?
Well, they're not gonna let you through there. Let me go. I can figure out where the last meeting was, but they were on the corner. But the chief is done talking now.
I think I said down there at the fire station is where.
Yeah, the fire station's right here.
Okay.
They just finished it.
Oh. Okay.
That girl's running.
Always late to the ball, huh?
I know, right? Damn, dude.
What are you gonna do?
We try to find out where
Yeah.
The audio's good here, probably because the trees are blocking.
Yeah.
13 and Pine. They're on 13 and Pine right now.
Okay. So we gotta go. Okay. So we gotta cut down here one block. All right. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, I would imagine that they signed the emergency order at 2 a.m. To come and take back this area. And I mean, I would imagine these guys have those bags just sitting in the trunk of their car waiting to suit and boot, come on out here and start stomping down the street. They made it pretty quick, man. You saw how quick they moved to that park. I mean, if you guys just tuned in with us, what we just were a part of was the front line for the Cal Anderson Park dispersal. And I mean, they were taking 5-10 feet and ripping tents down and I mean, just demolishing the tent city area, making sure that nobody was inside. If they thought there was someone in the tent, they were dragging the tent around. And anybody that has any questions that's watching us right now, that might be, we're taking them on Twitch, that might be best answered by media relations officer. So we're gonna cross the street this way and get. That's great. We want to make sure that we don't agitate any of the police right now, but we are going to go ahead and check the. Who is? Of course he is. Yeah, if we can get an idea of where they're at, that'd be great. So, 13th and Pine. So I think it might still be. That's fine. Everything's shut down, man. I think that right now so they've had the media relations meeting over here in the police the fire station for the up on 13th and Pine here for Battalion 2. I don't know if they're still in there doing anything about press release, but we could go ask, I suppose. But what you're looking at right now, so just so you guys know, is the upper perimeter for what was the CHOP is on 13th and Pine here, which is kind of like the pushback borders for the makeshift barricades. But the actual concrete barricades are down on 12th and Pine, which we're one block up from the East Precinct, which is right behind us down here. The perimeter's now been pushed back past Pine all the way down to Pike. And what you're seeing is Pike all the way over to Denny through all of Cal Anderson Park has now been taken back. Everyone's been evacuated or dispersed under a trespass order. It's I'm not exactly sure how how this is going to go with the retaking them. I'm going to see if we can't get over here and talk to these guys real quick. But we will find out. Oh, okay. Do you know the media relations officer? Are they still in the fire department here? Or, I know they did a press release, but
The press people went search. You don't have press credentials, you can't get in.
we got with concrete reporting.
I couldn't listen to you guys.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, I know who you guys are.
There you go.
I gotta admire you for being up 24/7. You rotate people. I just read stuff.
I'm CJ. This is Ian. Yeah, no, it's a lot of sleepless nights. We were out here till like 2 or 3 o'clock this morning, and then got home and immediately, you guys couldn't have coordinated with us, could you? Let us know. That'd have been nice. Just a heads up, like, hey, we're gonna be down here hanging out. You know? So the borders right now are right here on 13th. We can't go down this way and down to Pike, right? Broadway?
Yeah, I think you can. You can get from here all the way to 10th.
Oh, they're cutting it off at 10th? Okay.
I think it's from Broadway, and I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Well, she'll vouch for us. We have our press pass.
I know you guys are live streaming.
Right.
Always.
I guarantee we have more viewers than Como.
I think we're at like $6 grand right now.
Yeah, up over $1 million for the last one. Yeah, I think we're doing all right.
We saw earlier this week that several members of the demonstrators inside the CHOP.
You're a big guy. I'm going to need a hand because it doesn't look very scalable. You guys are making this easy for me. Come on, man. I'm working.
All right.
All right.
Well, they said that somebody said either Chief Vest is on her way or she's already been here.
I think. No, but it'd be good to see the perimeter. It was pretty interesting to hear the police officer say that she listens to us. She's listens to our stream, yeah.
So fucking weird.
It's like, yeah.
In the city, they collect those belongings, they store them for a period of time so that if someone wants to come back and collect them, they can. So it just appears that right now, that is the process where they're going to start small and then work their way up larger. Though I don't have that on any official word, it's just what I'm observing out here right now. And, you know, like you said, Ryan, if they are making it difficult for these crews, I'm sure those SDOT crews have got lots of front-end loaders, as we saw earlier in the week, and other equipment where they can sort of piece by piece this together. They could probably bring in some dump trucks and whatnot. But that is why police were kind of pushing us back, because they really wanted the SDOT crews to have the space they need to get in here and start working on that cleanup.
Yeah, and we are watching some of that dismantling right now. One of the larger tents in the area just brought down by this person we see on screen right here. For another vantage point, let's go over to Holly at the live desk.
Yeah, we just watched Air 4 move from Cal Anderson Park and now to the area of Pike Street this morning. You can see this live look from Air 4 right now. Bicycle officers have been in this area for quite some time this morning. They formed a line there, not letting anybody into that Pike Street area right there. We do see just a small group of protesters on the other side of police officers. It looks like two have sat down, kind of holding steady right there this morning. We do have a couple updates coming into the live desk right now. One from Seattle Fire. We had mentioned earlier that Seattle police said that officers were calling for Seattle Fire for a woman apparently going into labor on the east side of Cal Anderson Park. Seattle Fire is sending out an update that Seattle Fire evaluated that female patient. She did not require any medical treatment or transport to the hospital. So just an update to bring you on that situation. We have some new video released overnight from Seattle police. This is open source video of violent incidents in Seattle's Capitol Hill occupied protest or the CHOP zone. Let's show you that video. Full disclosure this morning, our editors have worked with it so that it is appropriate to show you on air. Here's a look at the tweet. Let's see if we can actually get to the video that we have of this. Okay, so apparently this is a video, so we'll try to work on getting you some additional video of what they did see overnight, because there's been a string of violent incidents, as we've been reporting on Como News throughout the last couple weeks in terms of what's been happening there. They did release some new video overnight, so we're going to try to get that to you in the next couple of minutes. That was just a tweet from Seattle Police that they had sent out overnight that we've been essentially reading all those tweets to you throughout the morning.
Well, it's wild now. So what you're seeing is Rad's vehicle is still in there, and a good amount of the tents that have been back there for a while now. What you've also got is SDOT back there disassembling the barricades, pulling everything down. What you're looking at in the background over here is the 12th Precinct down in the corner of 12th and Pine that has been pushed back now from the Occupy protest. As of last night, while we were out here at 2 a.m., it was a calm, peaceful night. You weren't seeing anybody out here. It was low key, as every night usually ends out here. And what ended up happening was at 2 o'clock this morning, Mayor Jenny Durkin went ahead and signed an emergency injunction saying that this was going to be unlawful, no trespassing zone. So they did the pushback. And at about, I want to say 4:30, 5 o'clock this morning, they started marching through. And from what I heard, it was about every 5 feet. They just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. From what we gathered, there's only been about 15 arrests. We have seen on our way in, though, a lot of the occupants from the CHOP here that have been here every day that we've seen just walking down the street, kind of vacating the area. So there hasn't been that meeting force that a lot of people were talking about as we've been interviewing people over the course of the last 2 weeks.
You know what? The oppression and the repression and suppression made divide and conquer.
Yeah.
And the money, the dopamine, it goes along with every party in the office.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you look at some of these people and they're getting off on it,
Yeah.
and they say they're not for this problem, knew the people that resigned because they were the problem.
I agree.
And when you look at some of these people, you could tell that they were a part of the problem.
Yeah.
And so when we start answering to this and we want it answered to, and there is no answer, and they only come in and wait until the last point, I mean, this is a very different protest.
It is. It is.
And I mean, for them to stand here and not hit us, not profile us, and wait for later, that's the difference.
I agree.
But is it us or is it them?
Time will tell.
And they used all the general public.
Sorry, one second. We got to see what's going on over here.
For what?
What? Oh, we're doing live coverage right now.
I know, but for who?
For everybody in the world. We got people all over the world that are watching right now.
I know, but you guys get the money from somebody.
Oh, we get no money. We're 100% volunteer.
So then you're for the cause?
Oh, we've been out here every day since it started, all day, letting people see what's really going on and not letting major media put a spin on it.
Oh, you guys made it over here, huh?
Man, we made all 13th and Pike.
What's happening on 13th?
The same thing. It's pretty soft lines up there. They had the press release, I guess, going on in the fire station up there. I think that's where the chief was at. Chief Best was supposed to be going that way, but we didn't see her. So.
Of course.
Yeah.
Is there gold brass up there?
Well, I didn't see it.
They said the command staff is on 13th. I'm trying to talk to somebody about getting this hardware.
That's where they kind of have their command post up there, yeah. Yeah. You got the guys that were here with Fox Media. You see that?
Yep. You in the back there, or the guy?
What up? Yeah.
Those guys straight across?
Yeah, remember that guy? What's up, man? He didn't want to talk to us now.
We like they start stepping, we're just like.
So the rain's starting to fall.
Over here, I don't know what happened.
He's right there.
Huh?
He's right there.
Can I talk to him?
Doing an interview.
Okay.
You see his cars over there?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
There he is. Zooming in on it.
I'm curious what they're going to do with all the supplies and everything left behind. Like, are they going to find a way to get those to the homeless, or?
Looks like it's raining pretty hard now too.
Yeah.
By Seattle standards anyway.
Oh yeah. All right.
Oh shit, that's my finger.
This is going to be a long day for a lot of people. You got so what's going to happen here traditionally is you got your frontline barricade bike police. What they're going to do is they're going to go ahead and rotate with the people that are behind them every so often, and what they're going to do that for is so they can recharge body cams, and which is part of the ordinance here. They are required to have body cams on, and they're going to go ahead and keep that going. Like I said, you got guys in the back that are kind of just keeping it loose, and then they'll step up, take on the front line here, and continue that. But apparently the police station was taken back pretty quick. It was not the force that they talked about meeting the police force with. It was a step-by-step 5-foot increment of pushback, and they just slowly walked everyone out.
You know, they get the cameras on the side and everything, but they never get the people in the front line. You know?
No.
Just talk to the girl in the purple shirt.
packed. So at least for the size of what they were expecting for people to still be there overnight versus what we've seen on the outside of the perimeter, we really have not seen that many people. The bulk of those tents really over on Cal Anderson still set up, those dozens or so tents. But where we are...
Boy, don't take it there. You want to take it there, then take it there. If you, yes. And always, your family, your job, all of it, yes. Yes.
Right, take it.
No.
When you call 911, I'll come running to your safety if you call.
No, I don't do that. Oh, you're not going to come to mine?
You too. I was
To
talking
be
to her.
here. Did you know that?
You too. What's that?
Please
We're all manipulated to be here.
Okay. You are also free to leave. Shelburne 7429.
I'm glad you're proud of it.
He's talking about the duct tape. Why is he have this thing duct tape?
I think it's so their badges won't fall off. I don't know. Are people curious?
Oh, we're not doing anything else.
Yeah.
Like,
It's going.
No, I'm not.
It's gonna be a long, wet day, huh?
Please take that off me.
Yeah. No, you don't need to take it off her. She's fine, man. You've got media cameras from all over the fucking world right now. I'm pretty sure she's fine with our live stream.
For what? Who's in there now? Why is there still 1,000 fucking cops out here?
Either way, like I said, what you got at the front line here, barricade police, you got the backup behind them there, and they're going to have to do a lot of rotation to kind of make sure everyone stays fresh.
And starting to clear out some of that air, are going to have their hands full. Matt Markovich saying.
Seattle Human Services Department, they sent out that tweet, but there's some additional information.
I'm asking.
Did they go through reform?
Honest, legit.
You did, and what was fixed?
Well, we do the 8 can't wait. All 8 SPD does.
The best side of the story. You should be the spokesperson then. Let all these people know.
I'm not. I'm talking to you.
Well, you
had the
feel so
question.
confident in what's been going on back here.
You had the question.
I did. And you feel very confident that SPD has been through reform. Then why the fuck are you still out here?
I don't know.
So what were the reforms? Wow. What were the
I'm not allowed to
reforms?
talk to media, so.
Apparently we're not media. Just
They're not. They're regular people. So what were the
reforms?
You can look online.
You don't even know. Period. So that's my point exactly. Is you don't know what's being reformed. You don't know what needs to be fixed.
Tell me. So de-escalation training.
No, it has no. It has,
Yes, it has.
oppression from the very roots
Oppression
of SPD.
is not part of it. No.
It's not.
No, that's
So
not
you
part
guys
of
don't
it.
oppress people. Remember, they are getting. You don't oppress people.
If we're gonna ask loaded questions, I'm addressing.
It's not a loaded question. You
It
just
is
said it
now.
yourself. You said you don't oppress people.
I'm done.
Talking about you can look online, but you don't know that.
Yeah.
And how are you going to say you're telling you don't oppress people?
So the conversation they were just having is about reform and whether or not it's actually taken. If you want, we can step back underneath the awning here.
Hey, Peter, is it just me and you?
I know.
But yeah, so I mean, it's good to see conversations being struck up, but is that conversation going to go anywhere? No, but I mean, it's a frontline pushback that you're going to find that you'd expect, but it's not at all what you were expecting when people were talking about actually maintaining the lines here and meeting force with force. But
Now people are saying Bam Margera.
Just remember, please, stand here against us. And it's our right to sit here. Back here with all this
makes me wonder, like I said, I'm really curious to find out how long they plan on maintaining this perimeter, because I mean, this is pretty far pushback from the actual precinct itself. This officer actually had some good points, and it would be interesting to see what would happen. It'd be interesting to see what would happen if, like I said, everyone would sit down at the table and talk, you know?
Like a slave because of money.
So where we're at right now, just so everyone that's tuning in can get an idea of what's going on, is we're just down the street from the 12th Precinct in Seattle on Capitol Hill, and what was the CHOP. It's been, now the perimeter of the CHOP has been expanded, taken back by the police and expanded now to Pike Street here, which was kind of like the unofficial pushback point. And then all the way down to Olive on the other, or Denny, sorry, on the other side of Cal Anderson Park, down to 10th, which is where it was already, and then up to 13th. So the actual perimeter's been pushed back by about another block radius, so square block radius. So it's further this way, it's further south and further north than it has been for the last several weeks. So.
What's up with you, man? What's up, Brad?
What up, Brad?
Y'all didn't know this was coming either? They woke me up in my... Oh, I'm sorry. I pointed with my stick. He ain't afraid, right? You good? Thank you. They woke me up in my tent.
Yeah. We see your car.
Screaming. Yes,
whip's still back there.
That's my whip, y'all.
Yeah.
Everybody knows my whip out here.
We saw that, yeah.
Everybody knows my whip. They wouldn't even let me put my gear back in my stuff and drive away. Hey. Cool. How are you guys getting here? We're gonna go around. Do you have a vehicle? I'm cold and I barely have any clothes on. Okay.
Sorry, I was banging on I was trying to get the water out of the mic.
Where's Dustin go? I don't know. You guys have a vehicle? Take me over there. Can you guys have a vehicle?
We're parked 7 blocks that way. Hey, were you? So they
What part do you? Where?
Well, it was rad. Rad be cool. I think it's rad. No, rad. R-A-D as in dangerous.
Like that, right there.
Yeah. So even like someone asked down there, what about my car? And like, so his car is still parked down here, right in front of the kind of the donation station area where the kind of staging ground is, and
You see that the it's raining harder now, and the women sitting down are just getting soaked, but they're not moving. This is a super appropriate Seattle day for this.
oh, this is the equivalent of like moving. Anytime you choose to move, it's gonna rain, and this is exactly what's going on.
What do you want to try and go to another block and see?
Yeah, we'll bob down there and we'll come back up. These guys
see
will
what
be,
the next block looks like.
yeah, these guys will be rotating here pretty quick.
Is that unmarked police right there? Yeah, I think that's unmarked police. I've heard about this actually. That they had like unmarked police cars.
Well, it's a pretty flagrant police car. I'd be curious about that van though.
It
Like,
doesn't have any markings on it, and yeah, the van.
that's an exempt van right there. So I'm guessing that's a jump out van. There's probably got,
Probably a shitload of SWAT in there.
yeah. I mean, it like I said, it's exempt.
Yeah, so these are law enforcement vehicles, but they're not marked.
And I mean, who knows? That's a pretty dark tent you got going on that van. So who knows?
So, all right.
Yeah, we're gonna head down here to. So we're on 12th right now. We're gonna head down to 11th, and 11th and sorry, man.
Stunk me into the camera.
Oh, so you guys having a big ass camera up on our block. Oh yeah, see, he's got the red lines in the back. So so the red lines in the back there are distinguishing all the police vehicles, especially the unmarked. That could just be like the makeshift paddy wagon that they have in play right now for hauling people off. And from what we've heard, there's another one there. From what we've heard, there was a an estimated 15 people arrested. Actually, if you look down here, so this is the alley that goes to the police station right down here. This is the backside of the 12th precinct right here. We've got some video of this from earlier, but this has been heavily guarded by the security. And if you look at the very end there's an armored SWAT vehicle at the very end. So we're gonna head down here, like I said, and check out some of the other perimeter. We're just gonna kind of work these perimeters for a while, guys. If you have questions, hit us up on Twitch, and feel free to ask. We're gonna do our best to get as much coverage as possible, and see things as they happen here. Say we lost the Facebook feed?
Yeah, that's what somebody's saying. Let's see if...
I can stay under this tree right here. It's kind of dry right here.
It looks like we lost the feed on Facebook. All right, everybody, we're going to restart real quick.
As much coverage as possible. Apparently we lost our Facebook feed. I'm not sure what was going on with that, but hopefully we're back on with everything right now. We're going to check into that right now, and then we're going to go ahead and get back to what we were doing. So for everyone that's on with all of our other platforms, we're on the corner right now of 11th and Pike right here, which has been kind of like the unofficial outer border for this side of the CHOP. It's more or less has been Pine has been like the main border, but they've had barricades as far out as Pike here. So as it is right now, the police have pushed themselves back in to the police station. They've marched their way through and kicked everybody out all the way through Tent City, through Cal Anderson, all the way out to Denny on the other side. So it's like an 8-block radius now that the police have taken back. Apparently there was mixed reviews as to if there was force used. Any crowd dispersal measures. From what we heard, there was, from one officer, he said there was no pepper spray, no rubber bullets, nothing used. From what I heard from an early report at about 5 o'clock this morning, 5:15, 5:30-ish, it's hard to say because it's all kind of blurring together right now, there was a minimal amount of force used. So I'm not sure exactly.
I think we're having that thing again where we can't stream on Facebook for some reason. Remember what happened?
Oh, when they shut it down?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking because everything else is streaming good. Or streaming.
Okay.
Fine. So I'm going to put a thing on Facebook. Go ahead and we're just going to tell them switch over to Twitch if you want.
Yeah, so hey guys, it's looking like all of the Facebook feeds are all kind of shut down right now. So we're going to have to be on one of the 4 other platforms that we're on right now.
Death of 2 teenagers. At this point, we've had at least 13 arrests. I don't have the specifics on all of the arrests. My plan is to update all of you with more information as it becomes available later today. I want to reiterate what I have said. I support peaceful demonstrations. Black Lives Matter. And I too want to help propel this movement forward.
I'm not sure where these guys are all going, but these guys are leaving kind of the posted perimeter and making their way down. You can see it, there's police vehicles all the way down the street here, all the way up 12th or 11th. And I don't know if they're planning on like pushing the perimeter back even further.
No, they're leaving. They're going to that bus.
Oh, they're on that little bus back there, the short bus?
Yeah.
It's a lot of bus transports. But what you got here, I mean, big staging ground, just a block south or a block west of the 12th precinct, and I mean everything from SWAT vehicles, armored cars. Oh, sorry.
Got a big van coming through this time.
Yeah. But from what we've heard, it was a peaceful pushback. No one was hurt. There was no measures used for crowd dispersal. There was no pepper spray. No major forms of crowd control. And it looks like they're kind of thinning down the forces right now, kind of minimizing the amount of people they have out here. But that is a lot of artillery for what we're seeing here. I'm about to take your phone away from you.
People are asking me to post the link to Twitch on Facebook, so I have to do that.
I know. You do too much, my friend. You do too
We
much.
had another person here.
Hint.
You can do it?
Hint. No, I couldn't handle that.
Exactly.
No, I can't do what you do.
Trust in me.
Oh, I trust in you, bud. See this big pile of clothes that's out here. I wonder where that came from. But people evacuated this area pretty quick. I mean, they cut out of here pretty fast. But what you're seeing here is a mass amount of police vehicles. Yeah, I'm gonna hold this while you do it.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah. So down the block here, as you guys can see, everything from transport vehicles to squad cars to in the very back there, they've got a full-on bus that brought guys in. So for anyone that's tuning in with us that's from outside of the area, we're up on the edge, the perimeter of what was the CHOP. For the police pushback, they came in, they took it back, and have expanded that perimeter quite a bit to now encompass all the way up to 13th, all the way down to Broadway, basically, and all the way out from Pike to Denny. So you have seen the forces thin out a little bit, so they're kind of slowly minimizing the amount of people they have out here. I mean, they're not leaving by any stretch, but they're definitely still
All right.
Bob, 1985. Yeah, we've been to 13th. We just came from 13th, actually. We're on 11th. We were up on 13th and Pine for a minute. And you can go ahead and scan right here if you want to check it out. Concrete reporting.
We're independent.
All right.
All right.
So yeah. So we're gonna go check down here, see some of the borderland here for the. Yeah. But man, it's been a crazy. Just the last 48 hours have been insane. From the shootings to now the reoccupation of the police precinct. It's gonna be a long couple days.